It's the Frank Show. What? The Frank Show.
Frank.
Come on, the Frank Show. What? The Frank Show. Come on, the Frank Show. What? The Frank Show. Come on, Frank Show. It's time for the show. Aloha, headsets. Frankie Boy here, and it's that beautiful time of the week that I like to call Ask Frank, where we sit back, relax, and answer a few of your questions that you have for your boy Frankie. Now, as always, if you'd like your question on the show, just throw that hashtag Ask Frank on it and leave it on any video at any time between now and next Saturday. But I digress. On to the questions. First up, PSVR Assassin has just pre-ordered Firewall 0 Hour, and its estimated download date is 178 days for now. What's going on? Now, what's going on is that's a placeholder until they update the store and put the final release date in there. Don't even worry about that. If you see that, you see December 31st, you see something like that on a game, it just means that they have not updated the digital store. That does not mean that they have no idea when the release date is or it's going to be 178 days. You're in the clear. You're cool. Don't even worry about it, buddy. Next up, Culture Core says, hey, Frankie, what do you mean by comfort blinders? And to be honest, I say this a lot, and it never even occurred to me that people don't even know what those are. Now, comfort blinders are those black spots like the vignette around your view when you're playing your game. Now, a lot of games have them, a lot of games don't have them, and a lot of people think that it helps with when you're looking around or it helps with your locomotion, because the issue with making people sick is that the game moves, but your body's not moving, and some devs seem to think that if they throw blinders on it, it makes your brain have less of a connection to what's going on, so it makes it easier to comprehend, and thus you get less sick. I don't like the comfort blinders, but that's what comfort blinders are. And if they help people, they help people. I'm glad that they help people. And I'm gonna let you know when they're there. I personally think they break the immersion a bit, but I'm welcome to hear what you guys have to say. Next up, Justin Vaughter says, hey, Frankie, is a VR game that you don't like. You seem to be throwing 9s and 10s out for all these games lately. Now, honestly, I don't think I've had a single 10 yet, Justin. Don't even worry about that one. And honestly, also, we've just started the scoring system, and I've had some lower scored ones. I think I had a 7, maybe a 6. Some of the better games have been out. I haven't reviewed everything. I'm sure there's some more crummier games out there. And I do need to probably get some more lower scores out there. But I promise you, Justin, before we had some crummier titles, I just did a number of now. Number of, so I promise you they'll be. Don't worry, I'm not biased. I try to go content versus amount you're gonna pay for it versus how much time you spend with it versus overall enjoyment of it. And a lot of people say, yeah, I mean, but this the thing is with VR, you spend like $10 and you get to jump into a world, so it's hard for me to like say. I mean, come on, dude. You know what I mean? Versus like if you spend, you can spend $10, $20 at the movie theater easy for a couple hours of just sitting in front of a movie, maybe falling asleep. Versus you get an awesome game to get jumped into, even if it's crummy. I mean, at least you're in the world versus just looking at it on some screen. Nah, so it makes it a bit difficult. Simon C. D-Man TV says, hey, Frankie, can you play 2 to top with a normal controller? Now, Simon, most definitely, you can play 2 to top with a DualShock 4, and I personally prefer it. You can do all the same things. You just have 2 hands sticking out like this at once. You can do the grippies. It's easier because you don't have to like pull yourself when you jump. You just click the triggers on your DualShock 4 when you jump. I like it because you can kind of sit back, relax, and still be hippity-hopping and having a great time with 2 to top without having to like stress yourself out and reach. And I mean, you can really feel like you're climbing and dangling if you want to from 2 to top, but it's nice to just kick back and play it with your DualShock 4. Speaking of 2 to top, we do play every single Tuesdays. Bada boom. There is a giveaway link right there if you guys would like. We give away a code every Tuesday that we play, and all you got to do is be present for the stream, and we say in the first 5 minutes of the stream who won, and then you can go, or you can watch the stream, or you can get the game and join up with us and stream 2:30 every Tuesday, 2:30 Eastern Time, 2 to top Tuesdays. Stephen Bates, very, very long thing, but really he just asked me if I saw Media Molecules presentation, the visual thing, and if I think that it's underhyped. Now, honestly, I think that they're trying to underhype it a little bit because Microsoft had that Project Spark game, which is kind of a similar concept, and there have been a lot of games that are kind of world building or game building, or even Little Big Planet in and of itself had a mode where you could build your own games, and I don't think they want to like overdo it. I think they want the community to get it in their hands, build some crazy stuff, and then use that crazy crazy stuff to sell the game to people. Like, well, look at what our community made. Look at all the, that's what Little Big Planet was all about. Like thousands of community creations, thousands of community levels. All of their marketing is like post product. They give us this fantastic, amazing thing. And I think a lot of people that know Media Molecule know that they're going to come up with something that's good. They're not going to put their hands into something that's just like a bad title. So I think that there's not a whole lot of worry. I don't think they have to hype it. I think you may think they have to hype it because you don't know them as a studio, but they've produced some really, really quality work, especially in the creative realm. So I don't think Dreams is underhyped. If anything, I've been hearing about Dreams for a long, long time, and I am super excited for it to finally be out. And I think that we're going to have some really, really great community creations once Dreams does hit our hands. Ryan What Now says, hey, Frankie, do you think Please Don't Touch Anything could ever come to PlayStation VR? Ryan, I don't see why the hell not. And honestly, I'm pretty sure it's probably on its way. Now, as you've noticed, or maybe if you haven't noticed, a lot of mobile games and earlier Rift games are starting to come to PlayStation VR now. It just took them a while to get the dev kit, go through Sony. Sony's not the easiest store to get onto. It's more exclusive than the rest. So there's a lot of grunt work, and a lot of smaller studios can't do that. Maybe the Please Don't Touch Anything devs were like, we're not ready to try that yet. Maybe it's a little untested. Oculus is easier to hop onto. Gear is easier to hop onto. I mean, it's on Oculus Go now, so I don't see why it couldn't be on PlayStation VR. And it really, really is a pretty fun game in virtual reality. It's much better than the mobile one, and the mobile one is a damn fun game, too. I don't know why I'm winking. It's just, I'm going to stop after that one. Dolphin Maniac says, what is your cat's name? Right now, she is scratching at the door. Initially, she didn't want to be in a room, but now she wants to be in a room. She can wait until I'm done filming. And her name is Shelly Kitty. Shelly Kitty's been with me at Bell. She's the boss. I mean, one day, guys, I'll tell you my story about Shelly Kitty, because I always tell people my story about Shelly Kitty, and some people have been like, that's a weird story, dude. What? And maybe we'll save that for like a later date. But yeah, Shelly is the best. She's awesome. If you see her in videos, always say hi to Shelly. All right, the dude with the name again, CR74VR something. Dude wants to know, what happened to the PlayStation VR glove? Now, dude, I think that they're probably working on some kind of glove at some point in time. And my issues, and the issue with gloves in general, is that, yeah, not having a controller hand is really cool, but you're losing, unless they perfect the glove, the haptic feedback, because you forget that the controller's kind of vibrating and doing stuff like that really does a lot for you when you're in virtual reality. So, sure, throw a glove on me, but if it doesn't have the right vibrators, the right sensors in the right place, vibrators, then it's not gonna be that great. It's just gonna be another, like, rinky-dink controller you might play with for a little while until the next version comes out that does have sensors and vibrators and everything in the right place. So gloves, I'm not too worried about. Now, whether you want to upgrade the Pro versus OG, I think we're finally at the point where they're cranking out much better quality on the Pro versus the OG. If you are definitely a person that loves your PlayStation VR, is sticking with it, and try selling your OG on Craigslist, Facebook, I want it, or whatever, I bought it, I don't know. One of those things, and you might get a couple $100 for it, maybe you get $150 for it, and then you can just get yourself even a used Pro from somewhere. You're not going to spend a whole lot. The Pro's been out for a decent amount of time now to where I think you're safe, and if you're looking for that upgrade, I would go for it. It's going to be a couple more years, I think, at least 1 to 2 till we see a PS5, so hey, why not get a better PlayStation VR experience? I mean, come on, nah. And Batwing says, do you think the Resident Evil 2 remake will get VR support? Now, I think it would be awesome, but I talked about it with a lot of people, and they said it's a third-person game, so it won't feel the same as like Resident Evil 7 felt in VR, and it's probably a completely different engine. But that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be awesome to have it in virtual reality. I've played some third-person games in VR, and sometimes the camera can get a little bit weird if they don't do it right. Like, they have to kind of, like, set the camera for you and have it leading the whole way, which could be a whole lot of coding. So I don't know if we're going to see a VR point. Yes, I would love it, but my expectations are low, which in some cases is a very good thing. Jimmy the Music Guy says, hey, Frankie, can you please list all the hidden titles on the PlayStation Store? Now, there are a handful of them. He's right. Like, Dirt Rally doesn't show up with VR games. It shows up on the normal games. I said No Heroes Allowed was another one. Now, there's a handful of games that definitely don't show up in the store that you got to search for. And you know what? If you guys are interested in it, I will do a video on that. Just let me know if there's community interest other than, I mean, even if just for one dude. Hey, if there's a slow day, why not? I'll make that video for you. But if there's a bunch of community interest, we'll pop pop that baby out as soon as possible because right now it is sale time. Dirt Rally is on sale right now, but I'm not the biggest Dirt Rally pusher. I love Dirt Rally. I think it's a great sim game, but if you're looking for a racing game, you're not going to find it exactly in Dirt Rally. It's more difficult than your average just kind of driving game that you want to have fun with in VR, and it might lead to a little bit more frustration than you're asking for. Daniel Blankenship says, how is the community for multiplayer Sprint Vector? Now, Daniel, the people that play Sprint Vector love Sprint Vector, but the problem with Sprint Vector is it's a very tiring game, so most people can only go a round or two. That means if they're hopping on, they're only hopping on for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, if that. When they're on, they love it. They're playing it, they're hyped on it, but your best bet is hopping on something like my Discord or hopping on to like my PSN group and finding people that want to play Sprint Vector at certain times of the day, meeting up, making a little group event and having people show up and playing, and you get people playing. It's much easier. You're probably going to be randomized if you get on at any random time. Now, PC could be different because it is entered into the VR Arena eSport Challenge, so more people could be playing Sprint Vector. Thus, there could be more people on PlayStation VR, maybe practicing for their chance in the future. So, hey, as time comes on, I think we'll see a larger community in Sprint Vector because I think it's an amazing game. It's so much fun. It's just a matter of how long you can actually spend playing it. Rovito Gaming asks something that I've seen a couple people ask. What about Rick and Morty VR? It's on sale right now. Now, the only reason I didn't mention it yet is because it hasn't gotten its update to really fix a lot of issues that people with a smaller space or just don't know how to set up the camera 100% correctly are having. It's not perfectly ready for every situation. It works. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great game. If you want to grab it on sale, why not? They're going to update it in the future, but they haven't updated it yet. And I'm hoping that comes soon. They did say it was going to come fairly soon, but they've been silent for a little while. I'm hoping to find out and take a trip down to Adult Swim Studios soon, and I will maybe find out firsthand for you. But as of now, yeah, you can grab Rick and Morty. I think it's a great game. If you got a solid amount of space, you know how to set your camera up right, and you got your tracking set up right in your PlayStation VR, you're going to like the game. Otherwise, you might have a couple issues. And once again, I didn't even notice that was our last question. Thank you for coming through. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I answered maybe a question you were thinking about. And if I didn't answer it, you should ask it so that I could answer it in the future. Just throw hashtag AskFrank on any question, any video between now and next Saturday. Now, you're beautiful, most amazing audience in the world. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. I personally stayed in a treehouse. It was pretty awesome. And it wasn't that expensive. Airbnb, first time I actually liked Airbnb. I convinced my grandma to do it without even trying an Airbnb. And you know what? It was a pretty awesome experience. Now, thank you for coming through. I digress a little bit, as I always do. But more important than all of that is that if you want to stay up to date on any and everything PlayStation VR, and hey, little VR in general, then you know what? You gotta friggin' subscribe. And you don't mind this ugly mug, what am I doing here? Friggin' subscribe. Come on. Smush. All right, I gotta edit this damn video. I ain't really typing nothing. Monday through Friday.
Frank Show.
Monday through Friday.
Frank Show. Body on YouTube. Body on Frank Show. Body on YouTube. Body on Frank Show.
And that's how you do an outro.
I don't know what else to do.